Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Zach. I am the Swiftologist, as you can see on this t-shirt. This is a new merch design I'm trialing out. I might launch it for Black Friday if you like it. I make thoughtful weekly videos about pop culture, and today we are going to be having yet another Kiki. I'm bringing back one of my very popular series, which is reacting to your unpopular pop girl opinions. Now, this might be the most porous one that I've done yet, because I am considering at least one opinion about a pop boy, and also some opinions about pop culture, stan culture, the way that the music industry is evolving in general. So we're broadening the doors a little bit. And there are a few Taylor unpopular opinions in here too, because I haven't done an unpopular Taylor Swift opinions video in a while. I have the cutest merch out right now. So go to evolutionofasnake.com and see all of the Swiftologist collection. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? The first opinion that I got, the very first one in my inbox. I asked for these on Instagram, by the way. If you want to be a part of these unpopular opinions videos and submit your thoughts, I have tried doing it on TikTok before. It was too deranged. I've tried doing it on YouTube community tab, but that gives people too much space and I can't be bothered to read all of them. So Instagram is a nice medium because it cuts people off and it's also really easy to see all of the responses. So go follow me on Instagram if you want to be involved. The first one that I got was Camila's career is kind of over. And I thought that this was very interesting because to me, Camila Cabello's career has just started. CXOXO was not a roaring commercial success. I will definitely give that to you. If you watched my video, The Rise and Fall and Rebirth of Camila Cabello, you will know that although I think that CXOXO is a deeply flawed, sometimes embarrassing project, I think that it was a really big creative risk and a leap in the right direction of authenticity and originality that I have never really felt, seen, or heard from Camila before. I mean, I was so moved by this record, I ordered the signed vinyl, which is, unlike me to do. I saw it was $30 and I was like, let me just get this real quick. And now I'm like, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? But I think what was so compelling to me about Camila's record was that she tried something new. And I think we really underestimate how difficult it is to do something that may not be popular or to do something that is like out of the realm of what you know. And I think so much of Camila's career has been kind of playing it safe or replicating a formula. The Havana formula has been replicated on basically every album of hers until CXOXO. And although it wasn't a roaring commercial success, I think that it was a big pop culture moment of this year. The rebrand, the Charlie XCX comparisons, the going blonde of it all, the absolute polarization of a song like I Love It. I think one of the worst things you can be as an artist is boring. And often Camila's work has been kind of boring. I Love It is extremely polarizing. I hated it at first, and now I kind of love it. So, polarizing and conversation starting is always going to be something that I can applaud, even if I don't necessarily think that the fruit of the labor is that interesting. But I think that the rest of the record with CXOXO is actually very interesting. I always point to Dade County Dreaming as a particular highlight. I think Camila has it in her to be a really good lyricist, and I like this new collaborative project that she started with these new producers. It's a very unique sound, and I think, I Love It was a bit of a red herring because it sounded kind of like a Charlie XCX cosplay, but the rest of the record feels very Miami. I think she's almost very successfully created a kind of soundscape for the city that she grew up in, and I think there's more to mine and explore there. And I think that this era actually has continued to unfold a little bit, even though, be damned, everyone has been like, we don't want this. That has not deterred Camila. She was still doing the summer sets of mostly CXOX songs that everyone was cricketing to. She was performing on the playground. She was on the back of a bike. She performed at the VMA. She did Godspeed, a truly baffling decision. But again, a risk. She also just recently released a Vivo short film series of the CXOXO performances, and it's all done in her kind of, I guess, adolescent bedroom. And the lighting is really gorgeous. The performances are really good. Camila is a great performer. She's very charismatic on stage. She's a very unique vocalist. And that string of performances actually really made me think there's more to go with Camila. Like, we're only just scratching the surface. So I couldn't disagree more with this unpopular opinion. Halsey is extremely underrated. Halsey is the topic of the town at the moment. I did my Great Impersonator review. You may have seen that. If you haven't, go watch it. But the critical response to this record has been very interesting. Again, polarizing. And I think if you're polarizing people, you're doing something right. It means that you've made a piece of art that is strong enough to move people and to make them feel a certain way. And there were lots of good reviews. There were some hit jobs and hit pieces. The Pitchfork review of The Great Impersonator is one of the most unfair pieces of music criticism that I've read in a really long time. And that writer specifically has issues that I will not get into here because no free promo from me. But the Anthony Fantano review of Halsey, it smacks a little bit of misogyny. I don't think that he's amazing at covering female artists. I don't think that he takes them seriously or treats their art and work like it's something that can be analyzed as art. He really views it more as like a product. And saying that Halsey is guilty of having main character syndrome on an album that she literally wrote about being really sick and wondering if she would ever be able to parent her child, that feels disingenuous to me. That feels like a bad faith engagement with the work. And I think the reason why Halsey is kind of underrated is because her public front self, as in the singles Halsey, the Without Me, the Graveyard, the Closer, that Halsey is very different from the Halsey that I think her core fan base is familiar with. And I always keep coming back to Badlands because what a goddamn record. We're talking about a concept record. We're talking about Halsey doing her damn thing. This is it. And I think that for a while, her label probably pressured her into including more of those kind of like outsized commercial singles on her records to the detriment of an entire body of work. I think that If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, and now The Great Impersonator is really a return to form from what we originally saw on Badlands, which was taking a concept and executing it. The Great Impersonator's concept is for sure very loose, and I think it was a little bit confusingly marketed. But I do think that there are some genuine gems on that record, and it's one of the most interesting pop records that has come out this year. I think the issue is that most people don't pay attention. They just listen to like the antics. And Halsey is one of the only artists that is not allowed to be sincere. When we hear Brat and we hear Charlie XCX talking very sincerely about her insecurities about being a famous person, the entire concept of Brat is superficial in the sense that it is about surface level things. It's about fame, it's about money, it's about success. There are detours into things that are more personal, like I think about it all the time, but that's not really kind of the essence or the point of Brat. And it seems like a lot of the Halsey detractors, the people who are very publicly kind of shaming her and saying that this album is terrible, are very much willing to consider someone like Charlie XCX, who is cool and like a mover and shaker in culture. They're willing to take her sincerity and take her feelings seriously. But with someone like Halsey, who everybody perceives as being a little bit too much or cringe, that video of her singing Blink 182 in the mall from 10 years ago is something that people still bring up to humiliate her all the time. Halsey is very, very sincere and earnest, and she takes herself and her work very seriously. And that lack of willingness to make a joke out of herself, I think, makes her a bit of a target. It's interesting that we are willing to celebrate ironic sincerity. We're not really willing to compensate earnestness at this moment in time. That is interesting to me, and also why I think Halsey is underrated. But I think she's just going to take away in the background, doing things like interesting things and playing to her core fan base, I think is really what she needs to do. I'm a huge Beyonce stan, but she's only ever had 2 amazing albums, Lemonade and Renaissance. When I tell you my jaw dropped, you are a Beyonce stan, but she only has 2 amazing albums, Renaissance and Lemonade. I'm not really on the Cowboy Carter train. We've talked about this before. I can admire it for what it is as a concept, as an execution of an idea. It's not really for me. So in my personal canon of like the best Beyonce albums, it's not up there. Lemonade and Renaissance, you're goddamn sure they're up there. Self-Titled, you're going to sit here and say that Self-Titled isn't an amazing album? B-Day? B-Day was hugely influential in the mid-2000s and shaped a lot of the pop music that came after it. So I think it's interesting to say that she only has 2 amazing albums when you're literally ignoring 2 absolute gems. I Am Sasha Fierce. Do I think that was an incredible album? Probably not. There were some amazing singles, some career-defining moments for her. 4, I think, is a very underrated album, but definitely maybe not like an amazing one. I would say Beyonce has at least 4 amazing albums. And if you're a stan, why are you only saying 2? B-Day is actually massively underrated. Freakum Dress, Hello, Green Light, Deja Vu. Deja Vu is one of the most interesting lead singles that a pop star has put out in that particular period of time. She could have started with Irreplaceable. That was a lot safer of a choice. But Deja Vu, I think, really shows her agility as a performer. The performances that she did of Deja Vu in that era, I mean, iconic. The tour that accompanied that, check on it. I mean, girls, come on. You can't say that she only has 2 amazing albums and not have one of those albums be B-Day. Please be serious. Here's another one about Beyonce. Beyonce's eras without visuals are just not the same. This is very interesting to me. I think, with Renaissance, it's a little bit easier to understand the vibe, the concept, and the era because we have the Renaissance tour film. That really functions as the visual. So for me, I understand Renaissance in that way visually. Cowboy Carter has nothing. Like there just truly are no visuals. We have like a couple photo shoots. Beyonce literally did more promo for her liquor brand than she did for that album. And I don't really understand why we're giving interviews to GQ about whiskey when we have a record that came out that is this big statement and has all of these things going on. So I think Beyonce's refusal to explain herself is part of the reason why the visuals have stopped coming. And I know that she said, like, you know, you are the visual. That's what she said for Renaissance, at least. It seemed like there was stuff in the bank that was going to be coming. And I can't imagine that there wasn't. I just have to wonder why they were scrapped. Beyonce is such an incredible visual artist. Some of my favorite and most iconic Beyonce pop culture moments are Homecoming. Hello, one of the greatest tour films of all time. We have to say it. The Renaissance tour film, also amazing. The Lemonade film, the self-titled music videos, the surprise drop of it all. Visuals really are part and parcel with Beyonce as a performer, because she is, I'd say, first and foremost, an entertainer. Before she's a writer, before she's a singer, she is an entertainer. She gets on stage and you can't take your eyes off of her. And that translates really well in a visual medium. So it is a bit perplexing to me that we have had absolutely zero visuals. I can kind of see an argument for making Cowboy Carter like the album with no visual whatsoever, because it is so much about the music and it is in different areas, and it was a very intentional statement about country music or about genres not being porous enough, about being a pop star versus a genre artist. Like, there's a lot to mine there. I do wonder if it would have had a bit longer of a pop culture moment had it had some visuals with it. And also the Western, the Americana of it all, that really is ripe for visual interpretation. So I kind of do agree that without visuals, the eras do suffer a little bit. Okay, I noticed this in my last Unpopular Opinions video, and it is really continuing in full force, the Sabrina Carpenter hateration. They will not let a girl rise. They cannot let her rise without immediately predicting her fall. I mean, look how quickly it happened with Chapel. People are preying on her downfall. But with Sabrina, I got this over and over again. Sabrina's current fame will not last. People get bored easily and move on to the next big thing. I think that people are really underestimating how difficult it is to have the kind of chart success that Sabrina has had with 3 singles from one album. The traditional album rollout is dead, and Sabrina executed one of the longest and most successful and efficient, yet kind of elaborate album rollouts of 2024. The lead time from Espresso to the release of Short and Sweet allowed it to have 3 massive singles. What other records are having 3 massive singles and dominating a stretch of time? It's hard for a star to even have like a moment with one song from a record, let alone a succession of singles that keep people interested in the album. It debuted at #1. The tour is immediately sold out. I think that Sabrina is only just getting started. And something that I do see people saying over and over is that this shtick is boring. This shtick will get tiring. And it's like, okay, well, let it get boring. It's not boring now. I'm tuned in. You're tuned in. Everybody on TikTok is tuned in. The album has literally only just come out. The album is out for what, 2 or 3 months at this point. How can you possibly say that her moment is soon going to be over? You can try and be Nostradamus and say she won't last, but at the end of the day, I think it really is about like legacy building. And I think that Sabrina has made a very, very impactful jumping off point. It isn't her debut, but it kind of feels like it is. And she's hit a stride with this new circle of collaborators that she has. So I'm Sabrina optimistic about the future. I do agree that I think that the like thing that she has going, that like kind of like silly, goofy, sexy stuff, that could be tiring. Sure, too much of anything can be tiring, but I'm not seeing it being tiring at all yet. I think there was even more to be had on Short and Sweet. It was a very short and sweet and considered record. There's more to go there. She doesn't have to drop the act every single time. That dramatic reinvention that we're used to, I think, is becoming less and less necessary as we become familiar with like people as characters rather than like moments. We're not just looking at like, who is Sabrina Carpenter in relation to Short and Sweet at this very specific moment in time. It becomes part of her. It becomes part of her footprint and who she is. I would like to let her cook, personally. This is another thing I've seen over and over again that I just don't understand. Sabrina is trying to be Ariana with this new era. Ariana was never that funny. She has done like innuendo, but Ariana has always been much more like serious about being sexy. There's something cutesy and a little conservative but restrained about her. She's quite graceful. She's quite elegant. Sabrina seems a lot more human and more real to me, especially in interviews and stuff. She's quite funny. She's got a good sense of humor, and her songs have a knowing wink in them. Ariana's Break Up With Your Girlfriend Because I'm Bored, for example, you might think that that is a funny song, but it's kind of serious. And I don't see those moments of humor throughout Ariana's discography. I think that really sets Sabrina apart from her. I also don't think that the music sounds the same. The only Sabrina song I've heard that I was like, ooh, there are kind of echoes of Ariana here was Good Graces on Short and Sweet. Everything else seems very Sabrina to me. So I don't think she's doing Ariana Grande cosplay. I really don't think they're that alike at all. I think they're just both small and kind of sexy sometimes. All right, we have our first piece of Taylor hateration. Taylor's kicking herself seeing Sabrina go off as she tries to choose openers with zero future success. What could possess you to believe that? Taylor literally put Sabrina on. Sabrina and Gracie Abrams having the year that they have had in 2024 is a direct result of their association with Taylor Swift. Tay nepotism is a real thing. It doesn't work for everyone. Not every artist that she puts her weight behind gets the kind of lift that these two artists have had. But, with Sabrina, I'm kind of more like the momentum was a little bit building with emails I can't send before she really got in Taylor's pocket. But with Gracie is a direct recipient of Tay nepotism and would be nothing without Taylor's ringing endorsement. We would not be paying attention. She would not be on my radar. We would not be talking about her. So Sabrina and Gracie are two of the most successful pop acts of this year, and they were also both opening acts for the Eras tour. She had Haim. They opened for her for a little bit. Phoebe Bridgers, look at me with your eyes and into my soul and tell me really that she's picking people that she wants to flop. Why would she do that? Why would she do that? And also, Sabrina's success, current success, anyone's success at the moment, apart from maybe one person, is not a threat to Taylor Swift. The specific thing that Sabrina is doing is something that Taylor does not want to do, also can't do, and will likely never even attempt. I think that Sabrina is of no threat to Taylor, and therefore, clearly, Taylor's not threatened by her. They're also friends. You can see that they're friends. Taylor said it was going to be Sabrina's summer when Espresso came out, and she was right. She predicted this. I think that Taylor, when she decides that she likes you and she understands that you're not trying to step on her lawn, she will help you. She will give you the connects. She will give you a strategy. Do you think it's a coincidence that both Sabrina and Gracie got into kind of like high profile public relationships that they mined for content? I mean, we have the Barry, the Sabrina of it all. Now we have Paul Mescal and Gracie Abrams. Trust me, that's going to lead into GA3. Taylor has a playbook and she's sharing it with them. Taylor's many things, but she is rarely like a cold-blooded hater in that sense. I don't see why she would invest so much time in helping these people if she wanted to see them fail. And also, why would she be resentful of success that she kind of helped orchestrate? Sabrina and Gracie's continued success only proves Taylor's impact. Like they show that being associated with Taylor Swift is like having the golden touch. It's kind of a net positive for her. I wish album cycles became longer like Teenage Dream or Taylor's old eras, not like Tortured Poets and Eternal Sunshine. That's just not really the way that culture works anymore. It's like even if you tried to force an album campaign to be a year and a half long, which is basically what Teenage Dream was, the way that we metabolize content is so much quicker that no one would care. That's the problem. Sure, you can try and execute a really long album campaign, but people will stop paying attention. After the first single, if you're not really hitting it with the first single, the second one, you got a chance. And after that, the rollout is over and it's finished. The album needs to come out and then everybody will move on. That is kind of the brutal truth of it all. Sleeper hits are even kind of rare. That's why Chappell Roan is seen as such an anomaly in the music industry because her record came out way before she actually blew up and started becoming a main pop girl in the conversations. And the Eternal Sunshine album cycle has actually been going on for kind of a long time. Didn't the record come out in March? Ariana was still, up until 2 weeks ago, releasing live performances from that record, definitely doing her Grammy campaigning for it. Ariana was less visible with this record and she's not touring it, sure, but the actual album era has been going on for a pretty long time. She had her Met Gala performances. Those went pretty viral too. In terms of Taylor's Tortured Poets, I mean, this is just kind of an anomaly for Taylor in general. I think it is disappointing that we only have one music video and a tour video that is not that interesting. But the record really suffered because Taylor is still on the Eras tour, which is the Monster on the Hill. It metabolizes everything that it encounters. I think Taylor's not having longer album cycles because she's creating very rapidly. And why marry yourself to a feeling that you had 2 years ago? I mean, think about Taylor performing the Red Tour in 2014 when she had already cut off her hair and was moving on to Shake It Off and was no longer wanting to write songs and sing about sad breakups anymore. She was still having to get up on stage and do the Red album every single night. I can imagine that that's not the most appealing thing. I also kind of like the real-time updates of what's going on with her psyche. You used to have to wait 2-3 years to hear from her about how she was doing. And I'm seated to hear from her more regularly. I understand what you mean. I think what you're saying is that you want albums to have a more momentous and like occasional feel to them. And they do, and they can. You just have to live with the album. You have to let it live within you. You have to pay attention to it. Let it unfold over time. Stop treating albums like episodes of a TV show that you watch once and never see again, and then are waiting desperately for the next season. That's not how we're meant to interact with music. Eternal Sunshine for me has felt like a great album cycle because I'm still listening. I'm still tuning in. I'm listening to the live versions. I'm thinking about the lyrics. I'm enjoying Ariana's talking about it, the very few interviews that she's done. Same with Tortured Poets. That's still mulling over in my brain constantly, as you've seen on my channel many times. An album cycle is what you make of it. We also had Sabrina's album cycle that was pretty long, as I mentioned, comparatively to what else is going on. Brat Summer Summer went on for a pretty long time. Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, I was seated since before it came out, and that era is still going strong. I think the album campaign has definitely lessened in duration, but what it has done is increased in intensity. So, okay, maybe these record moments aren't going on for a year and a half, but having a month or 2 months of Brat Summer or of Sabrina Summer is, I would say, equally as impactful in a different metric as Teenage Dream is. We're never going to have a Teenage Dream era again, so keep dreaming. All right, we have our first unpopular pop boy opinion on this channel. Is this my first time officially talking about a pop boy? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. And here it is. I love Shawn Mendes, but I feel like his new music isn't bad. It's just not interesting. That's how I've always felt about Shawn Mendes. He's pretty. He's pretty, and that's what's gotten him this far. And he had the occasional catchy radio hit. He has never, not once, struck me as an albums artist, nor as someone who needs to be taken particularly seriously. I have read many interviews with him. I have heard him speak. And in my opinion, just my opinion, my read, I could be wrong. This is just my personal opinion. He's kind of dumb. He doesn't seem that smart. Dumb and Poetic by Sabrina Carpenter really sums it up. And when I read this interview, he either gave it to Rolling Stone or the New York Times about this new record. This stuff that he was saying about this journey and this process that he's been on is all very banal. It's very boilerplate. I took mushrooms and found myself. And that is actually not an interesting insight. And you're hearing that in the music. This is why you're bored. This is why you're not feeling connected to it, because it's uninteresting navel gazing. It's literally background music, like Noise Machine. It's not bad. It's not offensive, but it's very boring. And as we all know, boring to me is worse than bad. Someone said, I know that Tate McRae's new album is going to rock us. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I didn't think that Think Later was that good. Really, as an overall effort, I thought it was pretty boring. It's Okay, I'm Okay is a cute girl, but she's no Greedy. She's no Greedy. And I'm starting to fear that we can't have another Greedy. I also didn't think that Exes was that good. I'm really here for Tate McRae, though. I think that she's gorgeous. I think she's such a performer, but the music is just not hitting. So I'm not feeling extra confident. I don't know that It's Okay, I'm Okay is even really doing that well, other than having a very brief moment of her choreography going viral. But it is a harder time than ever before to be releasing. And I don't think there was even really sufficient distance between Think Later and It's Okay, I'm Okay to come up with a new era or a new thing. That's not to say she's to completely transform, but It's Okay, I'm Okay just feels like it was intended to be like Greedy. And that's not how you make another Greedy. That's not how you make another Greedy. So I'm seated. I will listen. I will react whenever it comes out. But my advice to her would be, just make this a standalone single. Let's not attach this to a project yet. Let's Ariana Grande focus this. Let's put this aside and go back to the drawing board, go back to the studio and see what else we can cook up. A couple of kind of negative things about Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga isn't cool anymore. Her old self cosplay on Chromatica and Disease is bad. I don't really get that. Chromatica and Disease both exist in this kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland. Lady Gaga is this freaky kind of monster or this alien being that is coming to perform very intensely for us and unnerve us. Something that I really love about Lady Gaga is that she's always going to go there. She's always going to take it to a place that other pop stars don't. I think that's the theater kid in her. She's willing to be ugly. She's willing to snarl and bare her teeth and be weird and be disconcerting. And pop is very much this year about pageantry. It's about coolness. It's about being chic. It's about being ironic. It's about being gorgeous. Disease, the music video, is not gorgeous. It's spooky. It's scary. I mean, it was released around Halloween. I think that Lady Gaga's at her best when she's doing that. Saying Lady Gaga isn't cool anymore, that kind of smacks of ageism to me. I don't know why, but it does. And Lady Gaga is very cool to a lot of people. I do think that even still, she's doing something that other pop stars aren't doing, which means that we need her in the pop music ecosystem. I liked Chromatica. It wasn't an album that really made it into my top heavy rotation, but there are a few songs on that I absolutely love. Rain on Me, Babylon, Fun Tonight. When it comes to Disease, I think the song is just okay. It kind of reminds me of Stupid Love in the sense that with Gaga, you really have to let her cook. She has an execution of an idea planned, and it's all in motion, and she's working on it right now. The first single is not always the best indication of where the project is going to go, especially because Gaga is kind of a mysterious creative. I don't think that it's my favorite song that I've ever heard of hers, but it's certainly a solid and intriguing offering from her next era. Rihanna is not that interesting. She has great hits that the general public loves, and that's kind of it. What do you mean? What do you mean? She has great hits that everybody loves, and that's all. That's all, as if it's, I don't know, like having a carton of milk that you give out to everybody. Not easy to have great hits that the general public loves. In fact, many people cannot accomplish such a feat. I think the people who say this were not present in popular culture when Rihanna was really a moving, driving force in the music world. She has been such an inspiring personality. What's so perplexing to me about this unpopular opinion is saying that Rihanna's not interesting. There are critiques of Rihanna as an artist that you could offer. She has albums that have a lot of filler. She's mostly a singles artist with the exception of Anti, which I think is her magnum opus. But to say that she's not interesting, I mean, Rihanna's entire career, both in music and out of it, has been built off of the fact that she is deeply interesting. All the way back to her Twitter days when she was churning out reads like beat poetry. That was an era of time that everybody aspired to. Bad Gal Riri, Better Have My Money. Rihanna has always been such an advocate of popular culture and also a driving force within it. Fenty Beauty really changed the makeup game forever. She is an endless style icon. I just don't see how you can say Rihanna's not interesting. She's also funny. Rihanna's always going viral, old clips of her going viral, of her being hilarious, her facial reactions. She is a meme generator. To say that she's not interesting is just factually untrue. You are just not interested because you're boring. I got a lot of positive opinions about Addison Rae. Let's start with Gen Z sees Addison Rae as more Britney than Tate. I don't think that Gen Z really, I mean, I am Gen Z. I'm the oldest bracket of Gen Z, but we're talking about, I don't know, I guess people aged between 18 and 22. I don't think that they really think that Britney is all that. I don't see people talking about Britney. In fact, I see that generation posting videos of Britney and being like, meh, who cares about that? So I don't think that they're seeing her as Britney. I think that Tate is Britney because she dances. I can kind of see what you're trying to get at in that Addison Rae is very constructed and Britney was also very constructed. But let's be very clear. Britney is far more talented than Addison Rae. Addison Rae is not very talented. I think we should put that into perspective. There's an ironic sense of intrigue around her, spearheaded largely by Charli XCX and her fan base. Addison Rae is making some really fun pop music, but is she very talented as a performer? No. Did you see her singing Diet Pepsi? I rest my case. Here's another one. Addison Rae is on the way to being a big pop girl. I've been saying this since Obsessed. Now, big pop girl. I think that's a bit of a reach. What happens a lot of the time with terminally online people is they have these conversations about how big something is and they gas themselves up and they hype themselves up and they say, this is the next whatever. This is the next big movement. It is a tsunami of culture coming your way and we can do nothing to stop it. And the reality is that Diet Pepsi is doing well. It's a cute little TikTok song, but to say she's going to be a main pop girl, we don't have the evidence. We just don't have the evidence to support that. She has an EP that came out that people were ironically interested in. We're all aligned that her first EP was not good music. Right? I Got It Bad is fun. To Die For is fun. Obsessed is fun, but it's ironic. It's like a TikTok star made music that is kind of reminiscent of Y2K music. And so we are ironically going to have fun with it. The rebrand that she's kind of accomplished by being associated with Charli, who I think is doing a brilliant job at steering her towards being a bit of a cult classic, is very interesting, but it is not a main pop girl make. People generally still don't know who Addison Rae is. Her brand awareness is kind of low outside of a very specific group of terminally online people. I don't know that Aquamarine is going to have the same legs that Diet Pepsi had. So let's just hold our horses and wait and see, shall we? Lana is the biggest pick-me girl when she didn't drop Lasso because country music became more popular. If the work was good or real, it would be able to stand beside Cowboy Carter and the other country albums that came out this year. Now, Lana is a pick-me girl. We can't deny. Lana is pick me. And I think it's just in every kind of sense of the word. She's a contrarian. She does not like to do what other people are doing. She has also been told over and over again that she's a visionary, that she's a force in music. And she has consistently been doing things that other artists, particularly in pop, are not doing. So she has a sense of exceptionality. She thinks that she is special, and she is. Don't get me wrong. She is extremely special. She is one of a kind, in fact. But it doesn't surprise me that she had a country album kind of vaguely planned and then decided to scrap it when she felt that everyone was stealing her bag. That's truly what she was doing. And also, Lana is famous for talking about projects before they are done, before they're anywhere close to being done, for calling them something they don't end up being called. I mean, the only proof we have that Lasso exists is Tough, and that is bottom tier Lana Del Rey song, not interesting at all. And not even really country either. It was like a 12-year-old's TikTok song that she wrote over. Are we being serious? Are we being serious? Lana's main focus right now is being married to her alligator man and being skinny. Those are her two main focuses. I don't think that she's really in the studio trying to cook up the next great American masterpiece. She may pretend that she is. She recently said that it is not country, it's Southern Gothic, which I think is a better pivot because I wasn't that excited about a Lana Del Rey country album to begin with. Okay? What I want from Lana is a continuation of the chemtrails vibe, which is what I think she means by country and what I think Lasso could really lean into. There are some country moments on chemtrails. Breaking Up Slowly has twang to it all, and it's about Midwestern America. So kind of taking that and pivoting it to Southern Gothic is very interesting to me. And I think it would behoove Lana to steer away from country, not because other people are doing it, but because I don't see it being the most interesting thing for Lana Del Rey to do. I think it would kind of be boring, actually. But I remain to be gagged if in fact it comes out or it's real and it ends up being good. The Loneliest Time is better than Midnights, and both were released on October 21st. Sonically better than Midnights, it says. Sure, Jan. Sure. I kind of fell off with Carly Rae Jepsen after Dedicated Side B. I didn't think that The Loneliest Time or The Loveliest Time were that interesting. Carly, to me, is doing the same thing over and over again. And it's fun. And I would love to go see her in concert. I have seen her in concert before. It was really fun. She is a great performer and she has some classics. You know, she has kind of fallen off. And I don't think she's fallen off because people don't get it. I think she had a lot of momentum behind her after Emotion and Emotion Side B specifically. It's just that the music stayed the same. There wasn't really an evolution. And I don't think she's made anything better since then, which is more the problem. The first single from The Loneliest Time was Western Wind. Boring. Very, very boring. I'll let you rock, but I'm going with Midnights on that one. Britney is a bigger legend than Beyonce. Unfortunately, I just don't think that's true. And there are many reasons for that. First being that Britney is no longer active. So it's hard to continue being a legend when you're not present anymore. A lot of Britney's career was orchestrated on her behalf. We have to question her agency in a lot of her career. At least everything since Circus was something that she had either very little say in or was forced to do. That really complicates her legacy to me. She is a legend to me forever and always. She's the queen. She's Britney Spears. But Beyonce is an artist. Britney's an entertainer. Beyonce is an artist as well as an entertainer. She is really, really dedicated to her craft and has been fighting for creative control, has taken the reins many times, is very exacting and perfectionist, and has contributed more contemporary music that is currently relevant today than Britney Spears. That's not to put Britney down in any stretch of the imagination. I didn't do the comparison here. Okay, someone else did it for me. My final words on that are, we all got crowns. All right, we have two Gracie Abrams opinions. Now, you may have seen on my Instagram story that I posted that I thought that the new song, That's So True, from Gracie Abrams on the deluxe version of her album, The Secret of Us, is good. I thought that was a good song. And I gave the album a spin and I still thought it was bad. I still thought it was boring. I still thought the songwriting is lacking. It's just not for me. I like the song Risk and I like That's So True, but it did get me thinking that maybe there is something there to mine because those two songs, she's like gasping for air almost. Well, it's kind of because she can't sing, but it's also because of the way she was delivering it. And I think that those tongue twisters, urgent, kind of feverish guitar licks is her bag. Those are the songs of hers that are going viral on TikTok. So I guess more of that, please. But the two opinions I got, number one was that Gracie Abrams is the epitome of nepotism and no talent. She is the epitome of nepotism in that she would not be where she is. She wouldn't have had the ability to access Taylor Swift and to have Taylor Swift take her seriously as an artist if her father wasn't someone that Taylor Swift could maybe see as being a useful connection to her at some point later in her career. So she's definitely a recipient of nepotism, but newsflash, everybody in the entertainment industry pretty much is. You will find a connection somewhere. It is one of those industries where it's a little bit closed door. You have to rub elbows with people you already know. It's very difficult for a relative unknown to break through, which is why we hear so much about industry plants all the time, right? People want to talk about how that is the exception and not the rule, when really I think more of these things are orchestrated than you would realize, and more people are even tangentially connected to people in the industry. It's scratch my back, you scratch yours vibes all the way through. I don't think that Gracie has no talent. I don't think she's a great singer, and I think that her songwriting is lacking, but it's connecting. It's resonating with young girls. They're really enjoying it. And one thing about me is that I'm always going to respect the teenage girl. The teenage girls are the culture shapers and makers in this world. They are the ones who decide what's cool. They are the ones who decide what projects get funded and get made in pop music. So when teenage girls are being really fervent about something, and this is a bit difficult to quantify because now with there just being stands for everyone these days, there are little stan communities around everyone. But Gracie Abrams, I've noticed, is transcending her bubble a little bit. And I'm taking note of that. I'm seeing the effect that she's having on people. And even though I don't really think it's great, I can witness it happening and appreciate that other people think that it's good. Another unpopular opinion that I got was a lot of Gracie Abrams' success is from Taylor's exposure. It feels almost not organic. If Gracie really is a recipient of nepotism, the Tay nepotism has been a lot stronger for her than anything her dad could provide. Her dad may have busted open the door, but Taylor took her hand and walked through it. Taylor literally crowned her as her disciple and was like, she reminds me of myself. That kind of blessing does not come around. Taylor's never said that before. She probably also wouldn't have linked up with Aaron Dessner if it wasn't for Taylor, and he has been an essential main collaborator for Gracie, good or bad, whether you like it or not. He's the one currently driving her sound from the back end. These things would not have happened if Taylor Swift was not in the picture, and she didn't open for the Eras tour, and Taylor wasn't like pushing her so hard. The Tay nepotism is really what we need to be more concerned about. And yes, it does feel almost not organic because of that, because she has such a strong push behind her and the product is so average. I'm sorry. If you like it, there are some good songs. I will give that to you. There are some catchy TikTok songs, but the pitch of the conversation doesn't match the quality of the work. And that I think is always what kind of puts me off Gracie Abrams a little bit. It's not that I don't want her to succeed or I don't think that she's capable of it. I'm just kind of like, it's too easy. Why was it so easy for you? Why are we giving this much attention and this much smoke to someone who is, to my eyes, not really advancing their craft in any meaningful way. I didn't see a huge leap in quality or improvement between the first record and the second record. I remain, as I have always said, seated and ready to be gagged. Look at the turnaround I did on Sabrina Carpenter. Give me a good Gracie Abrams album, I will clap and cheer. Oh, you want to hear something really deranged? Here you go. I think Taylor's next love record, aka Lover 2.0, would be mediocre at best. The difference between Joe and Travis is that Taylor asked Joe about his opinion on her songs, but Travis likes everything she makes and doesn't push back on her. First of all, the most annoying thing that Swifties have done in the wake of the Joe breakup is over-assign credit to Joe for Taylor's artistry. You will never catch me congratulating a man for an artistic accomplishment of Taylor Swift's. And what you're saying is that Taylor made better songs because Joe is really talented and he's really good at editing her work for her. To my knowledge, the best songs in her career, All Too Well, for example, Blank Space, Love Story, You Belong With Me, he had absolutely nothing to do with that. And the songs that he did contribute to, anyway, that's all I have to say about that. If you sincerely think that Taylor was taking every single song for every project to Joe and being like, do you like this, baby? Do you have notes for me? Before turning it into her producer or her record label and saying, this is the song that's going on the record, you're deranged. I'm sure she played him things here and there and was like, do you like this? But I don't think she was sitting there workshopping. He was not a credited producer or co-writer on all of Lover or on all of Midnights. He got his credits here and there. But to say that he had some sort of like meaningful impact on Taylor's writing or her artistry is crazy to me, beyond him being a muse, beyond him being an inspiration for her to write about. To say that he was like one of the masterful hands in the creation of the body of work is insane to me. And, he has had his moment, he got his Grammy, and that's fine. The idea that Taylor's work is going to be bad because Travis likes her songs and doesn't say bad things about them. First of all, are you on speaking terms with Travis and Taylor? Do you listen to their conversations? Have you ever heard a conversation between them about a song that Taylor has showed to Travis and asked for his opinion on? No, you haven't, because you don't know them. You don't know this to be true. You're just assuming that. And also, you know what? Yeah, your romantic partner is also there to support you and to make you feel good and to empower you to do your best work by being your support system. They're not there to be your critical sounding board. I don't think Taylor is going to her boyfriends and asking them for constructive criticism. I think she's just sharing something that she's creating with them to show them that she loves them. That is how I would imagine she's approaching this. You are assigning way too much importance to the men in Taylor Swift's life and detracting merit from her prolific career as a songwriter. So I don't care what you have to think about Lover 2.0. I don't care who she's dating or what she's going to talk about. I believe that Taylor's next album will be good because I know that Taylor Swift is a competent, prolific writer. And that's on period. Charli XCX is a genius and you can cry about it. It is insane to me that I made one video, the reaction to the remix album, which I have not taken down because I am not embarrassed of a reaction video. A reaction video, by the way, the purpose of that is to just show your immediate response in the moment. It's not a review. It's not me sitting with it and thinking about all the things that went behind it. It's literally just me listening to it for the first time. And newsflash, I am a YouTuber. I make reaction videos. People asked me to react to it, so I did. I was very fair and very measured throughout. Even though I said it wasn't my thing, I sat there and I listened to all of it and I gave it a chance and I spoke to what I thought was good. And I also, was being irreverent and off the cuff, being entertaining because that's my job, to entertain you, to keep you watching, which you certainly did, Charli XCX stands. And the response that I got to that was so vicious and virulent and is still ongoing to this day, by the way. Gay on gay crime is crazy. Gays will say the nastiest things to each other. And I've been taking abuse from the Swifties for a long time. This kind of takes the cake. The really hardcore angels are actually very dehumanizing and evil. And it's funny because they're always dunking on Swifties as though Swifties are the most rabid and unapproachable fan base and that they really gas Taylor up beyond belief and that no one can say anything critical about her. You guys were chanting Taylor Swift die at the Brat concerts. The pot is calling the kettle black here, okay? And I like Charli XCX. There are multiple documented incidents of me being like, I love Charli. I like this thing that she did. Seems like everybody just ignored my 50-minute elegy to Brat and how brilliant it was and just went and watched the reaction video and decided that I hate Charli. I don't hate Charli. In one of my last videos, I said something very off the cuff about Charli and I was accused of giving a backhanded compliment to her. And it's like, I can't win. You want me to say something positive about her, but when I do, it's not authentic because one time in a reaction video, I said that I was bored. Does that make sense to you? That doesn't make sense to you. So I think that Charli XCX is an innovator in the pop music space. I think that she has done something really incredible with Brat, and I am really looking forward to seeing it being nominated for multiple Grammy Awards, and I think that it deserves all the accolades that it's got. So what now? And right after that, I got an opinion that said, I'm happy for the people that do, but I genuinely don't understand the hype of Brat. Well, I have a whole video about it because I really liked it and I thought it was really good. So go and watch that. And the angels who are projecting some sort of weird bias inside of me that I don't have, girls, get a job. When you watch my videos, when you post clips of my videos, when you send people my way to give me more traffic, I make more money. This is my job. I get to sit here and talk about Charlie XCX and get paid to do it. You're doing it for free and embarrassing yourselves in my comment section. To that specific subset of the angels, I wish you well. I hope you get well soon. And I hope you keep engaging with my content and being obsessed with me. Thank you. So now I'm going to move into some of the more general unpopular opinions. Concert crowds are dead and fans don't know how to behave at concerts. I agree and disagree because up until recently, I was very much on this train with you. I think it's regional. It really depends where you are. I've noticed in general, Singapore crowds are really bad. Really bad. It's a lot of the phone in the air. The Eras Tour in Singapore was unlike any of the other Eras Tours that I've seen. I've seen it on 3 continents, okay? And the Eras Tour in Singapore was the phones in the air tour. If you were anything more than 10 rows back, you weren't seeing anything because everybody was recording every single moment. And it was a lot of also recording yourself screaming. There wasn't a lot of being in the moment. I noticed that a lot more when I saw the Eras Tour in the UK and in Ireland. People were really into it. I think that's because the gig going culture is a lot longer there and it's much more about enjoying. And of course, there were still people taking pictures. I take pictures at all the Era shows. Of course, I take videos. I'm doing content. I'm there to work. I'm also doing those things. But there are times to put the phone down and to be in the moment and to enjoy it and to sing and to dance and to really exist in that rarefied space that you share with Taylor Swift or whoever it is that you're seeing on stage. I was kind of proven wrong by the young girlies at the Guts Tour in Singapore because let me tell you, these Rodrigologists were up and out of their seats. They were screaming, they were dancing, they were singing, they were with their best friends hugging and jumping up and down. The phones were up for a little bit, then they were down for a little bit. I was really heartened to see that kind of response. And so what I've noticed also is it's like, what kind of artist are you going to see? Is the artist putting on a show that is really designed to be filmed and put on social media? If so, you're going to see a lot of phones in the air. If the artist is more focused on like doing a performance, and Olivia's current like musical style, which is like pop rock, it's really energetic in a way that lends itself very neatly to a live show. So I was heartened to see that the young girlies really do still know how to rock out when they're given the opportunity. I'm going to Dua Lipa soon. Actually, by the time I upload this, I will have already seen Dua Lipa. So I'll see what the crowd is like there. It's going to be a slightly older crowd, but yeah, I don't know. I think there definitely is a concert going etiquette that has been lost, but I felt it really strongly in Ireland. Honestly, when we were doing standing for Taylor Swift, I expected that to be a nightmare because even sitting in Singapore was a nightmare, but everybody was really relaxed and having a good time, living in the moment. There was not a crush up near the stage. I was literally the second row and there wasn't really people pushing. I found that that was a lot more intense in the States. The floor etiquette was horrible in the States. People were shoving, pushing in. Everybody was acting like, they were the only person in the room, but that's the American way. That really just is how Americans behave. So that doesn't surprise me that they act that way there. I think also a good way to like encourage behavior that you want to see at concerts is to model it. When I go to a show by myself, I'm rocking out, I'm dancing, I'm headbanging, I'm singing, I'm taking videos, then I'm chilling, then I'm watching, I'm laughing if the artist is being funny. I'm, being present in the moment. And I think that when you're in a crowd of other people, we're human beings. Energy is infectious. You pick up on it from others. So if someone is being a downer, unfortunately, that can kind of spread like a disease. But also, if you have a live wire in the crowd, you're going to get people up and dancing and jumping and singing with you. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Be the crazy girl in the mosh pit. Most fandoms suck and are toxic. However, you don't have to be in them to stand someone. That's true. I mean, you can stand anyone you like. You don't have to participate in the online nonsense. In fact, it's often better if you don't. But I also understand that like people want to feel a sense of community when they're talking about something they love. And that is part of why stands are so toxic and vicious to people that do not fall in line with what they say. To a certain extent, you have to expect that when you're speaking to a fandom or you're making content about a fandom, if you say something they don't like, they're going to turn on you. And I'm very familiar with that. Very familiar with that experience, which is also why I've tried to really like intentionally curate a space where I don't allow the really toxic behavior. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I don't go on Twitter. I don't look at it. My YouTube comments, I moderate them. And if you say something even like slightly rude to me or backhanded, or I sense that you've been sent from somewhere else to say something specific, you're getting blocked. A lot of people will be like, oh, you're removing comments. Yeah, I am. Free speech for me, not for you. You can talk about me however you like in your own spaces. But where I have to see it in my own space that belongs to me, you better believe that I'm keeping it cute and it's completely up to me and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's kind of how I combat that. And also, just as I said about modeling behavior at concerts, I try to model the behavior that I'd like to see in the fan base with Swifties. I feel like the Patreon and the Discord, this is where I see and remember the power of the stan communities and like what it can feel like to be part of something, because everybody in our like little circle of the internet is aligned on the fact that Taylor is not a perfect person, but we should always be respectful when delivering our criticism. And that is, I would say, the attitude that permeates all of our discussions. And we don't just talk about Taylor Swift. Our Discord is like very lively, talks about a lot of other things. My YouTube comments are generally, I'd say, really insightful. I see people writing these like long essays in my comments, and I really try my best to read all of them because they're usually so insightful. Like the comments on my Halsey Great Impersonator review, all of the people with chronic illnesses that were talking about what this album meant to them. That is why I create the work that I do, and I make this space for people, and I deliberately try and keep that toxic behavior out of, so that this kind of stuff has a place to like thrive and flourish and be seen, and so that other people can also see it and be like, oh, maybe there's a way to interact with pop culture and with stan communities in a way that's not evil. Perhaps. I've been giving lectures at universities about this. I'm really passionate about trying to change fan discourse and like fan culture. And I'm trying to make a small impact. There are always reasonable people in every fandom. There's a Swiftologist for every artist, so go and find yours. Or just stay here, because I talk about a lot of people. Social media and cancel culture leaves way less room for mess, and the tea isn't teeing as it once did. Unfortunately, this is just true. Look at the responses that came out about the Shawn Mendes, the Sabrina Carpenter, the Camila Cabello love triangle. That was witch hunt for everyone, for every single person involved. Sabrina was getting accused of doing what Olivia did to her. Camila was getting accused of being a trollop. Shawn Mendes was being accused of being an idiot. There was no fun to be had. We cannot just view these people as characters, and I don't understand why. Why does every mistake that a person that you don't know makes have to be a reflection on their personhood? Why can't we understand that famous people are abstracted concepts? They're not real people that you know. So it's just not possible to have fun anymore. It really isn't. You can't even say something mildly shady to be funny without being accused of like wanting someone to die as well. There's very little tolerance for anything that's not uniformly positive. If people can't figure out whether you love or hate something, they hate you because they can't figure it out. It's called ambiguity intolerance. I've got to make a video about it one day. This one really cracked me up. Using glittery gel pen to describe women's art ignores the intricacies and efforts behind it. Writing a good glittery gel pen song still takes a skill that needs to be honed and developed. So you're saying that Taylor Swift is trying to ignore the intricacies and efforts behind women's art because she's the one that came up with that. Are you aware of this? If you're not familiar, Taylor has described the different kinds of songs she makes using different pens. So the glittery gel pen is Cruel Summer, Shake It Off, Blank Space, the fun stuff. And this person is taking umbrage with the fact that those songs are called glittery gel pen song. I don't think that glittery gel or pen are like derogatory insults. And I think what Taylor is trying to impart there is that these are fun songs. They make people happy. They make you want to dance and sparkle and shine. And yes, it's true that writing a good glittery gel pen song takes a skill that needs to be honed and developed. Taylor Swift has that skill, and she would never say that writing a glittery gel pen song does not require that skill in place. Taylor often talks about the brilliance of creating simple pop music. There's an interview that she did with Elle Magazine in 2019 that goes in depth into how she feels about that. I don't know if you just don't understand the origins of that term or where it came from, but it's not derogatory. I don't think you can even interpret it as being derogatory unless you are making it up. Swifties have taken fan culture to the next level. We've been needing that and shouldn't get hate for it. Girl, are you serious? I need to redirect you to the billionaire video. What you're talking about here in terms of fandom being taken to the next level is mostly consumerism, hyper-consumerism, mass collecting of vinyls, mass production of merchandise, trying to spend and own as much of a legacy as you possibly can. And that is being readily made available to you by the Taylor Swift operation that is more than happy to facilitate this kind of overconsumption. Swiftyism has for sure had its positive impacts on the world. I mean, parasocial relationships with celebrities are very lucrative. Whether you like them or not, whether you think they're good or bad, they are very lucrative for celebrities. And musicians generally don't make a lot of money off of their actual music anymore. Streaming has completely decimated the kind of royalty system. So unless you're really, really getting a lot of streams, you're not able to make a good living off of that. So you have to do things like tour and sell merchandise. And these are all things that are outside of the hero product, which is the music, which is what people should be buying and celebrating, but has no value anymore, basically. So instead, the artists have to survive by, doing all these external things. And that requires a lot on lore building and parasocial relationships. So Taylor, in a sense, has provided a very good blueprint for other artists to be successful financially, to, have different versions of their vinyls and sell different copies of their record. She has definitely inspired that, but also Swifties have contributed a very toxic element to fan culture that absolutely cannot be ignored. The way that they mass attack anyone that says even remotely negative things about Taylor Swift, that has lessened as of late because she's getting it for more air. The inability to casually access Taylor Swift without her fans coming for you or telling you that you're doing it wrong is actually not a good development for fan culture in general. I think becoming more obsessive about celebrities is actually not good. Artists are allowed to respond to critics without being accused of sending hate. For example, Halsey. If you didn't see, Halsey basically snipped up parts of the Pitchfork review that were positive and posted them together and said, I love having constructive criticism. She was being kind of shady, but Pitchfork has been awful to Halsey over the years. Almost all of their reviews feel very uncharitable towards her. And Pitchfork, specifically when Halsey was coming out, like in 2015, had a real issue with pop misogyny. They were looking at pop stars and saying, your music isn't worth anything. We're only dating to review it now after all of these years. And when we do review it, it's usually to deliver a pan or to call this a product and to ignore the human that's at the center of creating it. Pitchfork has a long history of having a very controversial approach to doing music criticism, often in ways that don't facilitate the creation of good art in the future, because criticism is only useful when it is constructive, when there is something to take away from it. A lot of the times, Pitchfork reviews can just feel mean and nasty. Go and read the review of Liam Payne's album and tell me what constructive criticism you would have taken from that. At the end of the day, writers are writing in the public domain, and if you put something out into the public domain, you have to expect that the person you're writing about has a right of response. So you cannot turn around and say, oh, Halsey's bullying me after she leads traffic towards your review. At the end of the day, that's putting more eyeballs on your byline than you probably ever would have gotten in your entire career. So congratulations to you for getting attention from Halsey. It is annoying that fans do this kind of behavior. They do the death threats. I'm sure they went absolutely over the top with, assailing this writer's character, but also as a reviewer in this day and age on the internet, you kind of know what you're signing up for. I do, and I'm careful about what I say, even if it doesn't seem like it. More careful now about how I deliver my criticism, because I know that people can really get out of pocket. So I want to make sure that when I'm saying something, it's mostly fair, or that it's casual and non-serious and not an attack on someone. This Pitchfork review felt very punitive, like it was deliberately missing the point, and like the writer had not engaged with Halsey as an artist before, but was purporting to know all about her. So I think that Halsey has a right of response, and she responded. There's nothing really original or groundbreaking with the music video medium. I find this to be such an interesting question because music consumption is more visual than it ever has been before. But when you look at things that go viral, things that really make a song or an album or a moment pop off to the next level, it's usually not the official associated visuals. It's UGC, user-generated content. Like with Good Luck Babe. Good Luck Babe does not have a music video, and it's one of the biggest songs of the year. The Brat music videos were really great, but I don't think that they were essential in driving the moment of Brat. Maybe the 360 video was, but it was more the user-generated content. It was the Apple dance. It was people getting videos and making memes out of the installations that popped up around New York City. It's more visual than ever before, but it's also participatory. And it's like fans want to be more involved in the creation of an album campaign than ever before, which does render the music video kind of a useless medium because it goes on YouTube and you watch it on YouTube and then that's it. You put all of this money and effort into making a high budget music video to just have a very, very temporal impact. It used to be that music videos played on MTV. They were syndicated across the world. There was licensing, there was publishing. They were played in a countdown. People watched them over and over again. Now it's kind of one and done. People really don't revisit music videos the way they used to. Look at the views that music videos get now versus what they did when YouTube was really just starting to pop off as a medium to share those music videos. It's like the entire visual world, including performances and live versions and acoustic versions. These things are all more important than the actual music video itself. And the success of Good Luck Babe without a music video is really just a testament to that. Here's another one about criticism. After the great impersonator criticism, music shouldn't be reviewed because reviews are also subjective. This is one of the stupidest things I've ever read in my entire life. Art is subjective. Film is subjective. Should we just scrap all the reviews because of that? The issue is not that the great impersonator was criticized. Anybody is free to deliver a criticism to anything at any point in time. And everybody also has the right of response to say what they like back to that. The idea of criticism is that it adds something, a layer of understanding to a work that maybe wasn't there before it. Hearing how other people interpret things is a stereotypically human way to understand something better. To suggest that we must stop reviewing things because everybody likes different things, if we did that, how would we ever be able to say that anything was good or bad? Of course, things are subjective, but there are ways that you can measure whether something is good or bad in comparison to what came before it, in comparison to what is being released around it. We should make an effort to try and decide whether something is good or bad. We don't need to dictate exactly whether it is or isn't, but the purpose of criticism is to try and get at the heart of something and to make an assessment of something. And that is a good thing to do because you use your critical faculties. Not using your critical faculties would be not reviewing the album and just saying, if I don't like it, I don't need to talk about it. I don't deserve to have an opinion about it. That's not true. We have better art because of criticism. And to take it away would just increase the amount of bad art in the world. And I don't want that. And neither do you. So reconsider. All right, I think I have jabbered on long enough. That is everything I have for you in this video. I've been podcasting all day and now recording, so my voice is going. This means that I literally must sign off. So I hope that you all have a wonderful day and that you go to evolutionofsnake.com, check out my merch. If you have any specific video requests for me to get to before the end of 2024, please leave them in the comments below, and I will see you in my next one.